The garden is beginning to look, nice now. We are seeing lots of rain today, so things will really start to pop. And of course, there's the alliums starting. A lot of flowering bushes here that haven't got the flowers yet. That whole hedge in the back becomes a sort of bright purple. It's yellow at the moment. My neighbor's building makes it stand out because of the orange color. Purple against orange. And there's a little purple in that bush there starting. These are dwarf lilacs. And a whole bunch of other things too. Spirea. And the forsythia is all green now. The other beds right on the water. Hi, this video is going to be a bunch of kiln unloadings at westcoatbellpottery.ca in Nova Scotia, Canada. I'm Vaughan Smith. Thanks for watching the video, and it's going to be an experiment in various things from electric kilns to gas firing with a rapid forced cool 500 degrees an hour from top temperature down to 1700, and then just a natural gas firing with a regular cool. I'm trying to see the difference in the same glazes in 3 different types of firings to see what variations we get. So this will be interesting to see all the glazes, and I'll post some glaze recipes so you can see what I'm using. When I pack a kiln, the kiln packing begins about 2 weeks before I pack it, because I plan my pieces, so I've got pieces in varying heights and widths, obviously. So you can see that mostly it's very even height in the kiln. There's always occasions where you put something in, just because you need it in there. But try to plan your firings so that you don't end up with, wasted space. And a kiln firing is based on the number of pieces, the weight of the clay, because that takes more to heat up and things like that. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration. But try to plan, make a bowl and then make a bunch of little things that will fit underneath the bowl, because that's a lot of the bowls flares out and you've got all that space under the bowl that's wasted. You can't fit a mug because it's too tall, but you could fit a little tray. So try to plan your firing so you can fill up the kiln as much as possible. Because you are heating the brick of the kiln, the lid of the kiln, the bottom of the kiln. A lot of things have to be heated up as well as the pots. So it's nice to get as much in as you possibly can. It's spring, summer 2023, the first gas kiln unloading of the season. I am so used to electric again after 6 months doing that. It's always a surprise to do this, because these pieces usually end up with a lot more matte looking glazes, and in the electric kilns we get a lot shinier glazes, and that's simply due to the fact this is a very well insulated kiln, so everything cools down a lot slower, and so glazes that have rutile in them and stuff like that, they tend to go a lot more matte, and that's always a bit of a disappointment, and it's just different. So we'll see what happens anyway. Ooh, that's different. I don't know what glaze I put on here. It probably is Harris 10 McCoo, or it could be tomato red. I just put 2 of them in this firing just to remind myself of what these glazes look like. And this almost has a metallic quality, so I'm really confused. But we'll see. That's the first one I'm not sure about. This, of course, I'm sure about. We get this look in last year's videos, 10 McCoo gold with oatmeal and variegated blue. The variegated blue goes matte, doesn't it? Very matte. The 10 McCoo gold is at the bottom, but that's a good example. And then I've got 3 more. Of the same 10 McCoo gold, variegated blue and oatmeal. All blue. That is different. These are orders, the canister. This is the stuff that I did. One of them is a funeral urn, but they've got lids, so they're like canisters. But the blue it's definitely different from in the electric kiln, but it's still very blue. 2 more of those. This one I think I I may have done rutile green on those instead of variegated blue, or it could have been the apple green, because there's definitely a greenish look with these 2 on the blue canister. These had chattering on, but the glaze has kind of covered it up a little bit, but it still shows a difference in the middle there. Let's have a look at some of these. What did I do with this? I think this is folk art. No, I think this is fake ash glaze with oatmeal over the top. And that's nice. I like that. Fake ash with oatmeal over the top. Because the fake ash doesn't look so good when it's on its own. And it's got a real silky feel to it. This is a refire from a long time ago. There was a little blowout and it's still there, and I thought I'll refire it, see if it goes away. Well, it didn't. It's better than it was though. This is one of the first stilts that I made. I made these over a year ago, and they're still doing great. Making your own stilts that's a commercial stilt. These tend to flatten very quickly. But anyway, apple green, much more matte. There's more of the blue. Those are pretty standard. They look, oh, that one's got a few pinholes in there. They're not sharp, but there were some pinholes that showed it was probably pretty hot up on the top there. Here's the purple, which is actually nicer in the gas kiln than it is in the electric kiln. So that's kind of nice. That's a surprise. It's got variegated blue and oatmeal over the top, which is that pink. The oatmeal goes pink over the purple. I did a few yellow just to remind myself of what the yellow's like in the gas kiln. Speckle clay and white clay. Here's the apple green on speckle clay and white clay. And another yellow mug on speckled clay. More green. These are the blue. No pinholing on those. Variegated blue and oatmeal over the blue. So the blue looks pretty good in a gas firing too. But this is an oxidation firing. There's a bunch of planters in here too. The oatmeal looks nice there. Here's 3 trays. I made some of these earlier. These turned out very nice. Let's give you a close-up. So these turned out really good, and that's a superb texture. I love that. And there's another one. This is how I fire my lids on stilts, so you can have glaze on the bottom. So those will be on the canister. You'll see these. You'll see these at the end of the video with on top of the jars. There's another way. I found that by putting the stilt small in the center, if I did it with a stilt bigger, so it was on the outer edge, the lid does warp a little bit. But when you do it small in the center, it doesn't. So obviously I need to grind off the 3 little sharp points on the bottom of these lids. There's the one that you saw the texture of when I was doing it. It turned out very nice. Okay. A bunch more of the blue mugs. I'll only show you ones that seem a little interesting. That one, Tenmaku Gold again, but look at the run down the handle. Got some grinding to do. More of the yellow ones. The variegated blue usually runs, but there's no runs on those. But you can see where it was just about ready to start making me do some grinding. So that one is the one I'm always wary of. So when I dip them, I don't dip them far down. Well, it was the variegated blue that's running over the top of the Tenmaku Gold, because these 3 all want grinding. And it's mostly under the handle. That won't be too bad, but it turned out that's the issue. When it does run, it's spectacular, but you get really good oatmeal breaking into the other glazes, but they run a lot then. There's the cone. Cone 7 is the last one, which is just starting to bend, so it's a good cone 6, solid cone 6 firing, with about a 25-minute soak. More variegated blue with oatmeal, and I think I did regular blue over the top. This one has a little pinholing in the glaze too, so maybe it was a little hot, because that cone 7 was bending a little bit, and the matte turquoise obviously doesn't like to go above cone 6, so it has a short melting range then by the look of it, so I have to refire this one. There's one that didn't run, and there's another one that did run. So I've got grinding to do on that one too. Variegated blue. We used to have problems with this glaze, see how it runs, and almost ran there, and now it's under control, but the Tenmaku Gold is a bit of a surprise, so I think I've got to glaze a bit thinner. Here's a planter. The blue is just flowing perfectly. I do that kind of bottom on these so that water doesn't build up underneath, and I put little channels so the water can escape, even though you don't want these planters to get too waterlogged. More of the jars. So these all turned out very nice. And for little plant pot bases. This is that fake ash with the oatmeal over the top. It's got a really nice oatmeal breaking to kind of a bit of a sort of coffee color. But those are just the bottoms of the actual planters. 2 Tenmoku Gold ones, and they didn't run at all because there's no handle on them. We know how to solve that. You just glaze less on the handles. But this is one of the Icelandic colors. But the glaze seemed to crawl off that one. Oh, look, it dribbled down. That's interesting. It's glazed over, but that's definitely looks like a funny sort of edge. And this is the bottom. Just a bit cooler, cone 6 for sure, but a bit cooler than the actual top of the kiln. And the Tenmoku Gold has gone matte. Isn't that interesting? So I think this is just because it's a little cooler. But because it's a little cooler, it didn't run where the handles are. So I think maybe just a little overfired on top of the kiln potentially. This is the fake ash, which you can see visible at the bottom, which I think looks really nice. I might actually leave less of that covered in the next time I use that fake ash glaze. But look how nice it is. I love that. Oatmeal over fake ash. I'm going to do that again. A little bit of green on the top too. 2 more blue ones. The blue is so controlled. Really works well. And I don't think the turquoise likes the gas kiln because it's pinholed even on the bottom. So I think what it is it's time to sieve that glaze again. Maybe it's separating out a bit in the bucket, because I've noticed the turquoise, matte turquoise, gets those little ball bearing type things in the glaze, where one of the things, it might be spodumene maybe in that glaze. I'll have to look at the recipe because that separates out a little bit. Glaze those over with the oatmeal and they'll be fine. These are for the bakery. Didn't melt into the letters at all. But yeah, all of these matte turquoise need to be refired. And these are an order, and you didn't want the tin glaze to have any pink in it from the glaze that has the purple has a little bit of chrome in it, which makes chrome tin pink. You get, where you have the tin glaze, you get a bit of pink coming in, and these don't have that, so he's going to be happy. There you go. He only wanted 2, but I made 4, so he gets to pick his favorites. But the outside of those is very nice. Now to the top. Another one of the Icelandic. That's a little better. This is an order too. He wanted a bunch of the Icelandic pieces, so, or Newfoundland, anywhere with winter. These are inspired by a friend of mine called Peter Bars, who goes to Iceland and he loves it there. And his photos all kind of have these colors. Another noodle bowl. Ooh, these turned out nice. This is Tenmoku Gold, oatmeal, and variegated blue. So that Tenmoku Gold worked very nice. Nice on the back too. And here's another one. It's going to start raining, I think. But 4 days of rain and the fires on the west of the province, southwest, is still going on. It's still out of control. This one was running a little bit. Once again, it's one of those ones. It's So the handle's the issue. I just can't put glaze on that handle. Another speckled yellow. Mouse grey with oatmeal. Well, this is one of my normal blue bowls. Looks good. Here's an unnormal. This is the purple. Amazing. Wow. Yep, that was a surprise. This glaze loves the gas kiln. Here's the Tenmaku Gold not running because there's no handle, which is amazing, but looking really good. So much the same as on the mugs and yet no runs. Must be the time in the kiln, in the glaze as well. Looks nice. That's a nice planter. Oh, look at the yellow inside. Same glaze as on the outside. I sometimes do a little slip trailing on my pieces, using glaze obviously. Interesting, same, no pinholing, and yet on the other ones I took out were all pinholed. But this is at the back of the kiln, so I wonder if it's just cooler at the back. Don't know, it may be to do with the gas too. Some glazes bubble when they're in a gas kiln, like waxing brown bubbles terribly in the gas kiln. And that one, just a few little pinholes, and that one's got a lot. So that's in the back, so it means it's nothing to do with where they are in the kiln. No runs, Tenmaku Gold, variegated blue, and oatmeal, identical to the ones that have been running. Same glazes as on this one, and it didn't run. It actually turned out the way I love it to turn out, with the stripes. No runs, and I didn't even stilt it. Pottery is variegated blue with oatmeal, looking great. Too bad it's a planter. Same again, no runs. Same again, variegated blue, looking great. This one used to run like crazy, so I'm going to thin down my Tenmaku Gold. Variegated blue. There's a little slip trailing on this one, but it faded out. But these are for an order, so I'm glad they didn't run. Same glazes on both. I did a little slip trailing. It looks nice when it does this. It's kind of, it's not too tight. And there's two that we don't see in the gas kiln until today. The chun green in the gas kiln. It looks as good as it does in the electric kiln. Got oatmeal on the top and the matte turquoise on the bottom. That didn't blister on the bottom. Maybe it's a bit cooler near the shelf. The green's nice though. Matte turquoise. I think I'm going to separate my matte turquoise out and fire them in the electric kiln for the next firing. And that one. My variegated blue. Mouse grey, oatmeal, and variegated blue over the top. Apple green with matte turquoise and variegated blue over the top, and then the fake ash with the oatmeal over it. I gotta be quick, it's just spitting with rain again. Icelandic colors. Oatmeal, mouse grey, variegated blue. Same again with the chun green. This is really going to be doing well in this kiln. Mouse grey, chun green. And an Icelandic bowl. Nice, this one's ordered too. Couple of nice planters in the chun green, and the matte turquoise doesn't blister. That's interesting too. And the yellow and the chun green. So I think the chun green really worked well. I like the way that turned out. And the yellow is reminding me that I've got a yellow. I don't use this much at all. So that's the first firing of the season, and it's got some disappointments with the Tenmaku Gold running so much, but I'm just going to thin that glaze down because it is a new batch and I just made it with too little water by the look of it. And then I'll just grind those off and they'll be fine. But the matte turquoise looks like it prefers the electric kiln to the gas kiln. It's June 7th and it looks like we've got some alliums opening up today. It's nice to remember the dates. We have so much rain recently that everything's looking very lush, but as yet we don't have a mass of flowers out, although some are. I've got some yellow flowers just peeping over there. The alliums will be the big spectacular look, and we've got some other ones coming up there that are in bud. And then these are all Maltese cross. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of flowers in that bed there fairly soon. That yellow buttercup is interesting, but I'm not sure I planted that, although there's two in line, so I probably did. But that's a lonely flower. And these I remember planting. Gonna have to cut the grass tomorrow. It's growing so fast at the moment. And these bushes will all be purple soon. But it is a really pretty night. This is easy to recognize. It's basically an electric firing. So this has got a slow cool though, and a soak at 1750 degrees. So from top temperature 2219 down to 2000 is natural cool. Then it's 175 cool down to 1750, where I actually do a 3/4 of an hour or sometimes a 30-minute soak to make some crystals develop in the glazes. But anyway, electric kiln, blue, green, copper, red, just regular blue, green, copper, red. This is rutile green with some chattering for texture in the bottom of the bowl, with what you call it, matte turquoise on the top to give some nice contrasting color. But you can see the texture shows up, and those are all from those artisan pottery tools.com website. This is blue, green, copper, red with some brushwork on it, on a speckled clay. So in other words, I glazed the whole thing blue, green, copper, red, and I took various glazes, brushwork, and did it over the top. And you can see there's some variation in the blue, green, copper, red. I'm not excited about it. I was hoping they'd be much more clear to see. Obviously the oatmeal did pretty good over the top there, but that's interesting, but not delighted. This I'm delighted with, but this is the normal that I get Tenmaku Gold with variegated blue and oatmeal over the top. So dipping and then some slip trailing with two other colors, cranberry and dark blue by the look of it, over the top. And you get the same on the bottom without the slip trailing. But that is what I always love to see with these three combos. These are just faux art white. I got some, I made these to actually go underneath some of my colander balls. Rutile green again with that matte turquoise over the top. That's kind of nice, nice contrast, but very shiny. This is a matte green oatmeal. It's just my oatmeal glaze with a tiny little bit of copper carbonate in it to give it a sort of a pale green. I don't use it very much, but that turned out quite nice, so maybe I'll use it more. And over the top I've got the blue-green copper red by the look of it, or it could be the matte turquoise, I'm not sure. Maybe matte turquoise. Okay, mugs. This is a glaze that usually works better in the actual gas kiln, but it's not too bad here. It's the fake ash glaze, and I always dip the oatmeal over the top of it because I don't like it when it's natural. Although looking at this, I'm not sure I did dip the oatmeal over these. I don't see a line that defines it, so I think these may be just fake ash. The purple, that one turned out very good with variegated blue and oatmeal over the top. This, I think, should be nice in the gas kiln too, but we'll wait and see later in the video. There's the purple again. It's got variegated blue and oatmeal over the top of purple. Gives you that dusty pink, which is quite nice. 2 more of those. 2 more again. I like the matte turquoise on the bottom of these. There's another one. This is straight apple green over textured, speckled clay. The speckled clay would be 455 from Pottery Supply House. And that's in Toronto. And this is actually variegated blue, or it could be my number 16 glaze, which is just my bright blue with a bit of iron added to it, as well as the cobalt, out of Mastering Cone 6 glazes. And then you've got variegated blue and oatmeal. And this is a nice combo where you've got the actual folk art white with apple green and matte, and just oatmeal over the rim. So it turns out quite nice. And I've noticed my white liner glaze, which has tin in it, has a little pink haze in there, and that's because I use some chrome is in this matte turquoise, or even in the purple, I think. Yeah, I think it was the purple the chrome was in. And that gives you that chrome tin pink look, which some people don't like at all. Okay, second layer down. Now we've got all the berry balls that go with these little dishes. These are the ones that are on the top. That's folk art white, apple green, and oatmeal. Same again. So I actually wipe the glaze just off the foot on those. I don't still them. More Tenbaku Gold. This firing cycle that I use is excellent for Tenbaku Gold. And the variegated blue over the top. So all of these, oh, look at how much it ran right to the very bottom. But it didn't touch, so that's perfect. I think this glaze needs thinning down actually, but that one just went to the very edge and stuck a little bit, so I'll have to sandpaper that. That's no big deal. And there's the number 16 glaze with basically bright blue and oatmeal over the top. Works really nicely. It's the same as the bright blue glaze, but it has a little iron in it, as I said. And then we've got my yellow matte oatmeal. It's nice silky feel. And then the dishes to go with the other ones. So they just Tenbaku Gold again. Ran right to the bottom without sticking. This is just perfect. But that one bowl just had a little edge where it was touching. But these shelves don't let it stick to the kiln shelf anyway. Great bowl. Tenbaku Gold, variegated blue and oatmeal. This is the number 16, which is why I need to use this glaze more. It really works nice sometimes and shows the texture really well too. So, and that's just some chattering with those artisan pottery tools. And then a little fluting in there. A nice bowl. Number 16 again. It's nice because it doesn't run either. It's really well in control. And then a bunch more mugs. Do we have any good ones? Haha. And that's the number 16 too. They've got variegated blue and oatmeal over them. That's mostly what I put over the top of my other glazes. That is interesting. I think that's the matte turquoise when I didn't stir it up. It actually is nice. Maybe I should not stir it up more. Just little things change everything, don't they? Yeah, there's some more turquoise in it. So this is just the matte turquoise on too thin, or having settled out, but it makes a nice glaze for the bottom then. These are number 16 with bright blue and oatmeal. You've got folk art white, apple green, and oatmeal. number 16, bright blue and oatmeal. Folk art white, apple green and oatmeal. Oh, that's nice, it actually stayed really white there. Another one of the purples. Matte apple green. Folk art white, apple green and oatmeal. So remember all these, later in the video we'll see what they look like in the gas kiln. Okay, the very bottom of the kiln. This is another one where I did some brush strokes using different glazes over the top of the blue, green, copper, red. Oh, look at that. The bottom's nicer than the inside. That would have been nice on the... Yeah, well, I guess it's the same colors as in those areas. But really, I kind of like the contrast of matte to shiny with that little breaking bit in between. And this is another one of the texture bowls with the artisanpotterytools.com. Those chattering tools. But yeah, I don't know, we'll see whether somebody else likes this. It's just a bit more blah on the inside. I'm going to do a bunch of videos on brush strokes as well, because I've decided to try and improve my brush work. So I need to do some videos on it. Okay, we've got rutile green with apple green over the top. I think it's got some blue in there as well. And then we've got folk art white, apple green and oatmeal over the top there. And then we've got folk art white again. Folk art white, apple green and oatmeal. Some more texture here. And a couple of fluted mugs with folk art white and apple green there as well. A couple more mugs in the rutile green, bright blue and oatmeal. This one turned out very nice. I don't know what clay that is. I think that's just the speckle clay. Turned out quite nice there. And then another purple and another folk art white. So variegated blue, oatmeal, apple green and oatmeal. This is the second gas firing, the one where I experimented by rapid cooling from 2219 down to, I tried for 1750 but I miscalculated and it went down to like 1675. So then I turned it on again, took it back up to 1750 and held it for half an hour. Just to see whether we could get some crystal formation but actually keep some really gloss finishes by the rapid cooling on the gloss glazes, and maybe the satin glazes wouldn't go quite as satin, but it's an experiment. So the last gas firing was just regular, the way I normally do it. This one is going to be a surprise, I hope. Anyway. Let's see. Nothing looks that different. Way down. The blue is less bright. I would say that's the biggest difference, is the blue just isn't as bright as I was expecting. In the other kiln it was far brighter. And I still have the Tenmoku Gold is still going that sort of a satin kind of, this is the satin Tenmoku Gold, it goes sort of yellowish instead of shiny with the speckles like the, so that seems to have gone more matte, and that could be, trying to think, in the last firing there was a few pieces that were more shiny, so we'll see. This is the first impression anyway. So what do we have? Let's look at the cones. Okay. Bottom cone, that's cone 7, that's not really bending, it's just beginning possibly. And that one at the, was that the bottom top? Top is actually bent much more. So that was getting close to a cone 7 really, so it's a little hot. I did a third cone. Where did I put it? I wanted to try another cone just to see. Right at the top. Well, wow, that's not much difference. Between bottom and top we got pretty close. So pretty accurate firing here. And this is a Bailey kiln. You can saw that from the title. It's now 13 years old and all that, so still working fine. I had to replace the thermocouple in it and something else. So I think the blower, no, it wasn't the blower, something else, just one little thing broke in it in 13 years, so that's pretty good, since with electric kilns you're constantly replacing thermocouples and relays and stuff with electric kilns, and this one's been very reliable. But anyway, this one looks interesting. I'm going to take it first. Oh yeah. Oh, and it's very satin matte on this one. This is one of the experimental brush ones I was doing. I'm going to talk about that a bit more because I wanted to start doing some brush work and see whether we can actually get some interesting effects using glazes and brushwork. But there was a bowl like this in the electric kiln, but this one turned out much nicer. So yeah, I like that one. What do we have on top again? Okay, so this is the chun green with apple green up above and a little bit of stamping with the sponge where they join, and more brushwork. I don't know, it's okay, but I just I'm playing at the moment, so we're not really sure what we're going to get. But I kind of feel like some of them are getting too obvious and other ones are sort of melting and blending away. So that's where we have to remember that the blue is a little bit too obvious, I think. I've got to thin it down, or I've got to just stop using it. I need to get it lighter, I think. Okay, this one is my matte yellow glaze. It's a sort of yellow ochre glaze, like oatmeal glaze with some yellow stain in it, with apple green on top. So that's similar to the electric kiln. This one is the rutile green, and it's sort of gone slightly very different. It's deeper, I think, than in the electric kiln. And it's got blue on top with oatmeal. It's on the recycled brown clay. So this is the blue, green, copper, red, which isn't as bright as it could be on the white clay. So that one I think is nicer in the electric kiln. However, on white clay it's just about the same. Blue, green, copper, red versus speckle clay and white clay. So obviously there's a lot of difference there. It likes white clay. There's a lot of teapots in this kiln. Let's hope they're good. Rutile green. This is probably on the speckle clay, but I can't tell because it's got glazes all over it. But it could be white clay. But the rutile green is not going quite as bright. It's sort of more dark and rich, I guess. Two more copper, blue, green, copper, red. These are the LaHaye Bakery mugs. There you go. You can check out the LaHaye Bakery online. They have I think they have a Facebook page. They might have a website too. Rutile green again, LaHaye Bakery. They just came by yesterday and asked me for some mugs. This one is an order. She wanted it to look like the landscape and just have Nova Scotia on it. It's a present for somebody they want to ship out today, so it came out today. There's another one of those. That's nice. This is the fake ash, I'm pretty sure. Much nicer than in the electric kiln. Very nice compared to the electric kiln. And I double glazed with oatmeal over the top and left half of it visible with fake ash. So the fake ash loves the gas kiln. And this one is my oatmeal, yellow oatmeal, I think. No, I don't know. They look so much the same. This could be fake ash as well, but it looks so different to this one. There's another fake ash one with the oatmeal over the top. And then this one is so different. I think this is actually my yellow oatmeal with the oatmeal over the top. And maybe it's the green with the oatmeal over the top on that one. And I got a request to make some really big tankards. Who drinks that much coffee? I think it's coffee. If you work in an office and you take that to the coffee pot, you're going to be looking for a new job the next day. And here's the little berry balls. And there's the purple, and there's the blue, green, copper, red. That one has variegated blue and oatmeal over the top. And this is another blue, green, copper, red. This was almost touching the roof of the kiln, so it shows how even the firing was. Yeah, it was really good firing, really. These are that number 16 glaze. And then they've got, so it's number 16 with variegated blue and oatmeal over the top. And there's some chattering. The Tenmuku Gold again, it definitely went more ochre. So I got more. I wonder if I'd just rapid cooled it and not taken it back up to 17-15 soak for half an hour. It might have stayed shiny. Maybe that's what I need to do next time. Another one of those experimental bowls where I did some brushwork and some kind of sponging to try and vary it. I'm not sure. It's these are going to have to get getting used to, I guess. But I'm just playing. Anyway, I was going to do a whole bunch of bowls and just play with brushwork on them. So these are like the first ones. I'm not stilt firing these. I'm just cleaning off the foot edge. But that's very similar to the electric kiln. Rutile green with oatmeal, blue, green, copper, red. These are the big berry bowls to go with those little bases. Bright blue, and the other one was blue, green, copper, red. Bright blue with variegated blue over the edges. Chattering on the bottom there. That's artisanpotterytools.com. Those tools, he's so prolific, he comes out with new tools all the time, so keep checking in the website. Another brushwork experimentation. That one's better than the others. I'm going to play with brushes. I'm going to get I've got lots of different brushes, and some have never been used, so I'm going to experiment. But I just like the idea of this one was the most successful so far, I think. And then the outside is like that. The chun green with variegated blue and oatmeal, and with matte turquoise and oatmeal. There goes the school bus. The air quality is pretty decent today. The fires are everywhere, but the wind is blowing across from the east, and so it's blowing it into the United States. But the fire in Nova Scotia is fairly well contained at this point. So another one of those orders. I think she'll like these. There's 3 of these. These are all the same glaze, which is bright blue, variegated blue oatmeal with some slip trailing with cranberry and green over the top. And 2 more again, the little berry bowls. These are great for breakfast. You just rinse some berries off, and it's just a small colander you can pick up when you're without much coffee in you. The orders just says Nova Scotia. Somebody wanted them. So there's 5 for them to pick their 2 that they want. That's the fake ash with the oatmeal over the top. So it really goes kind of gray, a nice variation in the color there. Okay, here's an interesting, this one and this one are glazed the same. So let's compare this one to this one. Bottom of the kiln, top of the kiln. There is a subtle difference. The blue on this one is less intense, but the oatmeal is much stronger. And that one, everything is melted together more. So my guess is this was cooler, even though the cones are so similar. That's interesting, isn't it? So do we have lids that fit? These lids may not be the right lids, because I try to make them all the same. That one could be the lid for that one. They could interchange. I'll have to check later to see which ones fit best. But that one, I love the oatmeal on it. Really broke nicely. Here is the same as this one. Ah, that was at the front. So deeper in the kiln, it's much similar to that. So here's my solution, I guess. This one was at the front, at the bottom, which is the coolest part of the kiln, because that's where all the gas is burnt and it's on the way out through the bottom of the kiln there. That's where the gas fumes exit, and it's already cooler. So deeper on that shelf, they're just as bright and all that. So there's definitely change there. Do I have the lid for this one? Well, each lid fits on these teapots, so I could just leave them the way they are. Glaze again right at the front where the oatmeal is stronger and the blue is less intense. So I think it's just cooler at that spot of the kiln. Makes sense, it's the front at the bottom, so all the gas is already burnt throughout the kiln before it gets down to that spot. So, but they're still nice. I just think the oatmeal's better, but the blue is less intense. So we have a compromise, figure out which one we like the best, I guess. Same again. Front, bottom, deeper inside. It's a little bit brighter blue. The oatmeal shows up almost the same on those two though. Fake ash, I think. It could be my yellow oatmeal too. Just not sure. It's got green, you know, regular green on the bottom, but that's probably my yellow oatmeal. Oh no, it's folk art white. Yeah, that's actually folk art white that's looking a bit like the fake ash. Difference being it's shinier. Right, so the folk art white earlier in this kiln unloading, when I was confused, it's actually folk art white. And it's got the oatmeal and the green. I also have put some green on the top before I put the oatmeal on that one. And we have a lid. There we go. For a real kind of interesting sort of, this is Tenmoku gold. And look how matte ochre that went. And of course the variegated blue and oatmeal make it spectacular. Very nice teapot. Do we have a lid? That's probably the one that was here. Yep, there we go. Very nice. Thank goodness there are no runs, because this was getting up to Kiln 7, remember. But this one is the oatmeal over the top of the, let's see, oatmeal over the top of blue, green, copper, red. Wondering why it went so pink. Chrome tin pink, because there's tin in the oatmeal. So yeah, we had some of the purple in this kiln, which fumes off the chrome oxide and makes the tin glazes go a bit pink. So that's a surprise. And there's a lid for this one. Which one is it? Not that one. Must be this one. Okay, dokie. I did put little holes in some of my teapot lids. I haven't done that for a long time, just to allow the actual, you know, so you don't put the liquid popping out if you fill it too full in the teapot. The lid pressure from the air inside the lid can force the tea out of the spout. blue-green copper red with the oatmeal, which is now kind of fumed with the chrome oxide, turning the oatmeal pink a bit. That's kind of interesting. Pretty spectacular too. Oh my gosh. I guess this is why I'm still a potter after 50 years, because you keep getting pieces out that are just so terrific. No run almost did though. And one more lid, and the teapot's not out yet, so, but look how strong that blue is. That's a nice blue. Two more of them. Do you remember a couple years back when the first one of these similar to this came out, and I was so excited? Well, I'm still excited. These are so nice when it happens. I think there's a little run on that one. I got to grind that one off a little bit. There was the others didn't have it, but one had a little run. Oops, somebody likes the pink flush. I'm going to call it my pink blush. And there's the lid. Blue-green copper red with my tin oatmeal. That's why it's going pink. I wanted a blue tankard, so I've made a lot of these. It's just blue oatmeal with variegated blue. The guy that ordered the blue tankard was very specific about how it felt in his hand and the exact height and width of the top to his nose. So I knew I would have a real problem getting one that would fit this guy's requirements. So I made about 8 of them, because I know the blue will sell anyway. So he'll have a really good choice. And where else can you get that kind of treatment? Another blue teapot. This one is just like the electric kiln. Really nice. So we have a lid. Well, we're running 100% for the lid so far. Because remember, I glaze my lids and put glaze down so that they can fill in a little bit. So that little movement. But that's a really nice teapot. I must have a lid for this one out here. Oh yes. Not that one. Must be the bigger one. There we go. Chun green, variegated blue, and oatmeal. That's nice too. What did I put on? Oh wow! I did purple on the bottom. So that's interesting. It's nice to experiment. A couple of nice little. They're kind of like welcoming runs. Let's embrace you with a couple of welcoming runs. And this one is the other lid. And that's a sweet teapot too. Not quite as long a run on that one. The idea with these teapots is that you hold it like that to pour. And you really don't need that on a small teapot like this. They're usually on a giant teapots. You know, when my mum used to work in a factory, like a steel factory, they used to come around with the char lady, and they'd have a monster teapot, and they always had the little loop handle on the front so they could pour, because it weighed a ton. Tea for 100. Yep, there you go. I think, and the last one of the teapots. I'm not sure that's the lid or not. Let me look. I guess it is. I'll have to look at all these lids. These blue teapots just all turned out very nice. More chattering. Chun green, apple green. Berry ball, oatmeal, oatmeal variegated blue over dark blue. There's the little balls. I always make one of these to go with the berry balls because it's so fast to make those little. And these could be for planters too, so depends on what I have. I don't know why I stilt fired that one, because it was. I wiped the glaze off completely on that one. What did I do on this one? Oh, I remember. I dropped it. This was a speckled blue glaze that I don't use very often, and I glazed it with that, and then I put it into the oatmeal, and I was holding it like that, and I just dropped it, and it went into my oatmeal and covered the entire thing with oatmeal, but it didn't run. I expected it to run because it was going to be heavily glazed. Anyway, it's not a bad glaze with the oatmeal over the top of it. That's quite pretty. And then we had the purple with the oatmeal and variegated blue. And here is that blue oatmeal that I don't use very much. And look how nice it is. And this is the one I dropped in the oatmeal glaze. So it's made it less nice on its own. It was really nice. So I'm going to well, over the summer this one looks like it likes the gas kiln, so I'm going to start using that more. Chun green, apple green with a bit of oatmeal. This is an experimental brush glaze with some stamping with sponges. So I basically I glazed it with who knows what. Don't remember what I put on the inside of that. There was a base coat, should have made some notes, and then I brushed over the whole thing, and then I stamped with a really rancid old sponge over the entire piece. And that's what it looks like on the back. So that's actually quite a nice bowl. Most successful one out of all the experiments. But it's very impossible to know what I had on the bottom there. Just don't know. My guess is it was just the pale green or something, like the apple green. Oh my gosh, and here's a brushed one. Wow. This is my dark blue, and I was brushing over it, but the blue has absorbed everything. So it's almost black in places. So the dark blue is not as successful to brush over the top, unless I moved over to using just oatmeals brushed over the top. More dark blue, oatmeal, and variegated blue. These are same chun green, apple green over the top. Dark blue with the variegated blue and oatmeal over the top. Purple, variegated blue, and oatmeal. Maybe I have another teapot yet. Purple, dark blue. This is another brush experiment. What do I have on this one then? Well, there's some really nice chattering going on in there. I just confused. I think I've got a bit of everything in there, but let me give you a close up. Gonna have to start taking notes on all these brushing. The outside on all of these is a little nicer than the inside. And the last teapot then, and this one's good. No crawling or anything on that one. The other one just had a tiny bit of crawling by the look of it. Nice teapot. I got a lot of nice teapots out of this firing. And I'm kind of happy that I've been wiping off and not stilting some of these. Dark blue, variegated blue, and oatmeal. On the stilts, with these purple, variegated blue, and oatmeal, dark blue, variegated blue, and oatmeal. So, and then we have one planter. And that's the end of my glaze firing cycle. Dark blue, variegated blue, and oatmeal. So the way I work is I build up bisque work for 2 or 3 weeks, and then do 2 bisque firings in here, and then I glaze everything, and then I usually do 3 glaze firings to actually get everything finished, and then I start the cycle again. But at the moment I'm carving a whole bunch of red clay tiles, which will take a week at least to actually carve all of those, so it'll be about a month before I do some glazing again. So we'll have a break from the glaze firings. So All right, well, take care. Hopefully we'll all be breathing easier later in the summer. You can just tell it's there. There's a little slight haze, basically, but it's not too bad today. All right, thank you very much for joining me. westcoatbellpottery.ca. Let me know if you want anything from the video, and press subscribe, of course. All right, thank you very much. Bye.